Hello everyone, I hope you've had a great week and I'm here for you with another secret of Montessori, and this time we are still talking about the sensitive periods that Maria Montessori identified, and today we're talking about the sensitivity to language. I'm sure all of you have heard or maybe you've even experienced your own children having this great affinity for picking up more than one language during the first 6 years of life. I see this every day. I have a little niece, she's 2.5 years old, and she comes from a multicultural background because her father, my brother, is Indian, and her mother is Russian, and of course she has a helper and people around her speaking Bahasa Indonesia. So she's being exposed to English, she's being exposed to Russian, she's being exposed to our native Indian dialect, and of course Bahasa Indonesia. And this little girl, effortlessly, she's able to understand everything, all right? It doesn't take much of an effort. When her Russian grandparents speak to her, she shows understanding. When her Indian grandparents speak to her, she understands what they say. When we speak to her in English, she's fine with that. And when she hears Bahasa Indonesia, she understands that as well. Imagine yourself having so easily to comprehend and process 3 or 4 different languages at one time. You would have to join a class, you'd have to listen to podcasts, watch YouTube videos, really stimulate yourself to be able to do it and do it effortlessly. Okay, so that's the wonder of young children below the ages of 6, showing you that they are sensitive. It's just easy for them during this age to be able to process language and develop the skills required to be able to read, to be able to write, to be able to understand. Now, from the ages of 7 months, that's when it actually starts. That's when there's a spurt in their language comprehension. And up to from 7 years till about, 7 months till about 3 to 3.5 years, this is where they're developing vocabulary and understanding of words, and they're producing some of their own words. It's at about 3 to 3.5 years that they're ready for writing skills. Okay, that's the right time for them, not just intellectually or in terms of language, but also physically for their fingers. That's when they're ready to do it. I see a lot of children being encouraged to write before the age of 3. And then what happens, is that they grow up and they don't enjoy it. They see it as a task, they get irritated, they throw away their books and things like that. Writing becomes like this big chore and something they hate. We don't want to do that. We want them to enjoy it. So if we start at the right time from 3 to 3.5 years old, they're not going to feel that irritation towards it because they are ready. And then from 4.5 to 5.5 years, that's where they get into intense reading activities. Okay, so this is how it works. What you can do at home, starting from the very beginning, constantly be talking to your child, say things to them. I remember my children were so little. Right from 3 months, I would put them on my knees and I would just talk and talk and talk to them. People would look at me like she's crazy. The baby doesn't understand what she's saying. Why is she doing this? But I continued to do it, expose them to language. I would read to them before they were able to understand what books were. So it's a good idea to read to them at least a minimum of 10 minutes a day, starting as early as possible, okay, and going up as long as you need to. When you're talking to your children, make sure you use a variety of language. Expose them to different words, phrase your sentences differently. If they're exposed to a word like small, then put the word big in there to introduce them to something new. Instead of saying, have you eaten? Would you like to have some vegetables with your food? It doesn't matter. Sometimes you feel, oh, I'm speaking so formally and things like that, but it's okay. They need to hear a variety of language so that when they are reading books, when they're having conversations, all of this comes back to them. Remember, we've talked about that absorbent mind. It's getting soaked in and stored in there. So expose them to your rich vocabulary and give them a chance to talk and ask questions and discuss what they see. Encourage them to narrate as well, not just developing listening skills. And of course, reading is very important. Children who learn to read at a young age in the laps of their mothers, they're going to be successful. All the research shows that. So I hope you've learned something from our little chit chat today. I look forward to coming back next week and we can share some more and we can grow some more. Have a great weekend.